Rec League Podcast. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your family, tell your haters. Available on Anchor, Google Podcast, Spotify, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Podchaser, Radio Public, and Stitcher. And officially on Apple Podcasts and Good Pods at Rec League Podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Rec League Pod on Twitter. Episode 65 coming soon. Yo, whether you watching this from Facebook, Twitter, click the link in my Instagram or YouTube itself. What up, world? So I just watched The Suicide Squad. It is I think it's officially a standalone sequel to 2016 Suicide Squad. So it stars Idris Elba, Margot Robbie, John Cena, Joel Kinnaman, Viola Davis, Peter Capaldi, Michael Rooker, David Dasmalchian, Daniela McQuire, I hope that's how you say her name, Sylvester Stallone, Alice Braga, Jai Courtney, Nathan Fillion, Flula Borg, Pete Davidson, Steve Agee, Sean Gunn. I don't want to forget this cast is massive. I don't want to forget anybody, but I know I'm going to. It's directed by James Gunn, who directed Slither about 15 years ago. He directed Super with Rainn Wilson, and he directed the two Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Like I said, standalone sequel, so like there are subtle nods to the first Suicide Squad movie, basically like character interactions, but this is Amanda Waller assembling Task Force X, and they are tasked with going into a South American country or off the coast of South America to retrieve some information. And Amanda Waller, like, she has her own motivations that she loopholes into protecting the country. You guys know, like, I'm a comic book movie nerd. I was excited for this. As you can see, this is one of my most anticipated movies of the year. It's already been 3 years since Disney fired James Gunn, and within like 2 or 3 weeks after that, I swear, like, DC hired him. I don't remember if he was announced as directing a Suicide Squad movie or just announced as directing like a DC movie that became Suicide Squad. But like, the two Guardians of the Galaxy movies are two of the like best, most entertaining, just check all the boxes, coolest MCU movies out of the whole universe. So that alone had me excited for his take on a Suicide Squad movie. I'm not going to compare everything to the original movie because it's been well documented. The Suicide Squad movie that come out in the theaters was not David Ayer's vision. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm all for release the Ayer cut. I'm not going to bash James Gunn. I'm not going to bash the Suicide Squad movie because Warner Brothers fucked over David Ayer. But there are things that David Ayer did have full control over. At least I assume he did, or that James Gunn really did right. Like the script for the 2016 Suicide Squad is damn near trash. The script in this movie is way better. It's funnier. It's way more entertaining. And then the soundtrack. I feel like David Ayer like clicked shuffle on his iPod, and whatever he landed on like got pieced into a montage. As you know, with the two Guardians movies, James Gunn knows how to put a dope soundtrack into a movie. And the soundtrack in this movie bangs too. Like damn near every track fits what's going on. Like I said, I was excited because James Gunn was doing a DC movie. And that alone got me excited. And just right off the bat, I thought, okay, yeah, James Gunn has elevated himself into one of those directors that you already know it's going to be a good movie. And I had it in my head, like his movie, whatever it is, like I said, ended up being Suicide Squad. This is a top 3 DCEU movie. And that's just because, like, as you like, I have this Snyder Cut poster behind me, but Warner Brothers, or whoever the brain trust is behind this jumbled ass shared universe, they don't consider, because they obviously hate Zack Snyder, so they don't consider anything Zack Snyder. They don't consider Zack Snyder's Justice League as DCEU. So I technically don't have it as a part of my rankings, but this movie, both versions of Suicide Squad are DCEU, and I think this is a top 3 DCEU movie. Like, the characters were great, man. Idris Elba as Bloodshot is great. Like, he's good in most of what he's in, and he, like, the script, his character, he evolves. He has a relationship with his daughter that early on in the movie had me laughing. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. She's one of the biggest stars in this world, and she kills it here too. This is, of her 3 Harley Quinn movies, this is her best movie. And then, like, John Cena overall, like, I think I said in my F9 review, like, he was overly serious in that, and I think in that review I did say that when the Suicide Squad comes out, like, he's gonna make up for that F9 performance. He did. This is the best I've ever seen John Cena. He's funny as hell, and obviously the action scenes work. It's like the way everybody, like Joel Kinnaman, is better than his performance in Suicide Squad. I would say, like, I love Margot Robbie in Suicide Squad, so I don't know if she's necessarily better, but she's just as good. Viola Davis is just as good. I would say everybody that it was in both movies was as good as they were in the other movie or better. Like, I don't think there were any bad performances. Like, it'd be hard for me to find a weak link acting. And who would think Sylvester Stallone would be perfect casting? Like, I liked the action set pieces. As obscure and random as this villain is, it worked for this story. Like, it was dope. There's a character who has some pretty nasty friends, but those nasty friends ended up being very important to this movie. I feel like what David Ayer did was try to create a flowing narrative bouncing off of Zack Snyder and Batman v Superman. And again, I think that's part of why Warner Brothers resented that whole time. Like, Warner Brothers low-key resents David Ayer as much as they resent Zack Snyder. And I think David Ayer's movie having, like, you never know when the Joker is gonna appear. You never know how the Joker is gonna, like, the Joker was the wild card in that whole story. And then Batman was in a couple scenes. There was Flash cameo. This one, I don't consider it a spoiler, but there is, I can plug your ears for a couple seconds if maybe it could be a spoiler, but there's no, like, random there's no wild card characters, or there's no heroes that, you know, cast a shadow over this movie, and I thought that worked. It was a benefit. I think I disliked Birds of Prey doing the R rating because it was just for the language. They just wanted to curse. They wanted to say the F-bombs and do all this and this and this. This movie takes full advantage of being rated R. Yes, there's language, but the violence is there. Like, the violence is front and center, and it plays. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought, like I said, I thought the dialogue was hilarious. I thought it all worked. I thought the action scenes, getting from A to B, I thought the story flowed great. And I don't know if a lot of people know, but Idris Elba was originally announced as being Deadshot. And then they backtracked, and I think that they wanted to give Will Smith a chance to maybe come back for a future movie. So I like that Deadshot is still out there. He wasn't in this movie. Idris Elba is now Bloodsport. They're two very similar characters. And I would really love to see them both in a Suicide Squad 3 or whatever the case ends up being. It's not a mid-credit scene. There's a tag early on in the credits, and then there is a post-credit scene at the very end. That sounded like a redundant explanation, but like I said, I really enjoyed this. I thought the cast was dope. The effects look good. It's very James Gunn. So with all that being said, man, I will say that in my opinion, the Suicide Squad is almost dope as fuck. I was really into it at the beginning, and I was like, yeah, okay, this might be a 5, and then like it waned a little bit, like not enough to where I disliked anything, just maybe the energy slipped a little bit, but a 4.5 out of 5 is still damn good. One of my favorite DCEU movies, one of my favorite movies of 2021. Like I said, as you can see, it was on my most anticipated list in January, man. So have you seen the Suicide Squad? What you think about it? Positive, negative, somewhere in between? Let me know. I recently posted a Jungle Cruise review. I recently posted reviews for Old and for Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins. Upcoming, I want to watch and review Batman The Long Halloween Part 2. Next weekend, Free Guy, Respect, and Don't Breathe 2 come out. I hope to watch and review all 3 of those. Depends on my theater. The week after that, Reminiscence comes out with Hugh Jackman. And then I want to say The Protege comes out with Michael Keaton and Samuel L. Jackson and what's her name, Maggie Q. Again, I hope to watch and review both of those. Rec League Podcast, episode 65, coming within days. We're going to switch it up and talk about TV shows, man. Sitcoms, specifically. So be on the lookout for that, man. Fun conversation will be had. Like I said at the top, man, we're on Apple Podcasts. Search for us. We're on Good Pods. Download that app. Search for us. Give the show some reviews, man. I appreciate it. Like, subscribe, comment. Find me where you find me, man. Don't know where to find me. Watch these credits. Peace.